My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I stared at the photographs spread across my hotel bed. Bank statements, text messages, screenshots that made my stomach turn inside out. The folder Derek had shoved into my chest 3 hours ago sat empty on the nightstand, and I couldn't breathe. I literally could not catch my breath. $340,000. Gone. Transferred in chunks over 6 months, while my sister Melody smiled at family dinners and posted pictures of herself spoon-feeding our dying mother soup, while she planned her dream wedding and cried about how hard it was being mom's caretaker, while I sent her money every month to help with expenses that never existed. But it was worse than stealing. So much worse. I picked up one particular screenshot with trembling fingers. A text conversation between Melody and someone named Jenna. The date was from 2 months ago, right after mom's last chemo session failed. Melody had written, and I quote, "Honestly, the sooner she goes, the sooner I can access everything. I'm drowning in credit card debt and Derek's getting suspicious. I need this to be over." I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family, enjoy the story. When I came back, I sat on the cold tile floor and tried to understand how we got here. How my sister, my only sibling, the girl who used to share her Halloween candy with me, became someone capable of this. The recording Derek had included was still on my phone. I pressed play again even though I knew it would destroy me. Melody's voice, bright and cheerful. I mean, she's out of it most of the time anyway. Yesterday, she asked me if Dad was coming home for dinner. He's been dead 8 years. Honestly, I'm doing her a favor keeping her comfortable at home instead of some horrible facility. And if I need to borrow from her accounts to keep myself sane through this nightmare, that's just the cost of caregiving. The woman on the other end laughed. They both laughed. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. My phone said 11:47 p.m. In 12 hours and 13 minutes, I was supposed to walk my sister down the aisle. Stand beside her as maid of honor. Watch her marry Derek, who clearly couldn't go through with it because he discovered what kind of monster she really was. That's when I heard her voice in the hallway outside my room. Melody's distinctive laugh, high and musical. She was talking to someone, probably one of her bridesmaids. I froze like a deer in headlights, documents and photos scattered everywhere around me like evidence at a crime scene. Her voice got louder. She was right outside my door. "I just need to grab something from my sister's room real quick," she said. She borrowed my earrings earlier. I heard the card key sliding into the lock. 6 months earlier, everything was different. Normal. Mom had just gotten her diagnosis, and we were all sitting in Dr. Patterson's office trying to process the words stage 4 and pancreatic, and maybe a year if we're lucky. I remember Melody grabbed my hand and squeezed it so hard my fingers went numb. Mom just stared at the wall like she was already gone. We walked out of that hospital in silence. The Arizona sun was too bright, too cheerful for what we'd just heard. Mom stopped at her car and turned to look at both of us. She was 63 years old, but she suddenly looked ancient, like the diagnosis had aged her 20 years in 20 minutes. "I don't want to die in some facility," she said quietly. "I want to be home. In my own bed. With my things around me." Melody didn't even hesitate. "I'll move back. I'll take care of you, Mom. I promise." I felt this wash of guilt and relief crash over me at the same time. I lived in Oregon, 1,400 miles away. I had a job I couldn't just leave, a mortgage, a whole life I'd built. Melody was in Phoenix, only 30 minutes from Mom's house. She worked from home doing some kind of social media consulting that seemed flexible. It made sense. It made perfect sense. "Are you sure?" I asked Melody. "That's a huge commitment. We could hire nurses, set up home care, split the costs." Melody shook her head and pulled Mom into a hug. "She's our mother. I'm not letting strangers take care of her. We're family. This is what family does." Mom cried into Melody's shoulder, and I felt like the worst daughter in the world for being relieved I didn't have to be the one to do it. I promised to send money. To visit as often as I could. To handle all the insurance paperwork and medical bills from my end. Melody would do the day-to-day care. It seemed like the perfect solution. 3 weeks later, Melody called me sounding excited for the first time since the diagnosis. I met someone, she said. At the grocery store of all places. His name is Derek, and he's absolutely wonderful. We've been talking nonstop, and he's so understanding about the mom situation. He actually thinks it's beautiful that I moved home to take care of her. I was happy for her. Genuinely happy. She'd been single for 2 years after a bad breakup, and she deserved something good during this nightmare we were living. When she video called me a month later to introduce us, Derek seemed perfect. Sandy brown hair, kind eyes, the type of guy who actually listened when you talked. He worked in finance, had never been married, wanted kids someday. He comes over for dinner sometimes, Melody told me after he left the call. Mom loves him. He's so patient with her, even when she gets confused. I think this might be it, you know? The real thing. Everything felt manageable then. Sad, but manageable. Mom started chemo. Melody sent updates in our family group chat with photos of Mom smiling weekly from the couch, or the two of them watching old movies together. I flew down once a month to help out, and every time I visited, Melody looked exhausted but devoted. She'd lost weight. Had dark circles under her eyes. She really seemed to be sacrificing everything. Then one afternoon in November, for months after the diagnosis, I was sitting in Mom's living room while Melody ran to the pharmacy. Mom was sleeping in her recliner, mouth slightly open, looking fragile and small. Her oncologist called my cell instead of Melody's by accident. Just checking in, Dr. Patterson said. Your mother mentioned some financial stress during our last appointment. I wanted to make sure everything was okay on that front. Sometimes medical costs pile up faster than families expect, and there are resources available. I frowned. Financial stress? She has good insurance. And Melody said the out-of-pocket costs haven't been bad. Plus Mom has her pension and retirement savings. There was a pause. Oh. Well, she seemed quite worried about money. Said something about not being able to afford her medications. I assumed there was an issue with coverage or savings. After we hung up, I sat there staring at Mom's sleeping face. She'd worked as a school secretary for 35 years. She'd been careful with money, saved aggressively, bought her house outright. She had a pension that paid $2,000 a month plus Social Security. She had over $400,000 in retirement accounts last I checked. Why would she be worried about medications that insurance mostly covered? I started noticing things after that phone call. Little things that didn't add up when I really looked at them. During my December visit, Mom mentioned wanting to wear her pearl necklace to Christmas dinner. The one Grandma had left her, the one she wore to every special occasion. Melody got this weird expression on her face. Oh, Mom, remember? You donated that to the women's shelter fundraiser. You said you wanted it to help someone who needed it more. Mom looked confused. I did? I don't remember that. Your memory's been fuzzy lately, Melody said gently, shooting me a look that said don't upset her. But yes, you were very insistent about it. Said material things don't matter when you're dying. It sounded like something Mom would say, but also it didn't. She loved that necklace. And when had this donation supposedly happened? Melody had never mentioned it. I let it go because I didn't want to start a fight during Christmas, but it bothered me. Then there were the bills. Stacks of them on the kitchen counter when I visited in January. Credit card statements, medical bills that should have been paid, even a notice from the power company about an overdue balance. I picked one up while Melody was helping Mom to the bathroom. Why is Mom's Visa bill so high? Asked when Melody came back. It's almost $15,000. Melody snatched it from my hand, annoyed. Because medical supplies are expensive and insurance doesn't cover everything. I've been putting things on her card when she doesn't have cash. Adult diapers, special food she can actually eat, medications insurance won't approve. It adds up fast. But I've been sending you $2,000 a month to help with expenses, plus Mom's pension and Social Security. And it's barely enough, Melody snapped. She looked exhausted, and I felt guilty for questioning her. Do you know what it costs to keep someone comfortable at home during cancer treatment? Do you have any idea what I'm dealing with every single day while you're in Oregon living your life? I backed off. I apologized. I sent another $1,000 that week. But something felt wrong and I couldn't shake it. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us keep bringing you these real-life stories. Drop a comment telling us what you think is going on here. The weirdest thing happened in February during my visit for Mom's birthday. Derek came over for dinner, and I noticed something strange. He barely looked at Melody. When she touched his arm or tried to hold his hand, he'd tense up like her touch hurt him. At one point she left the room, and he just stared at her, retreating back with this expression I couldn't quite read. It wasn't love. It definitely wasn't love. It looked almost like fear. Later that night, after Mom went to bed, I caught Derek in the kitchen getting water. Melody was outside taking a phone call. We were alone for maybe 30 seconds. "Is everything okay?" I asked quietly. "With you and Melody?" He looked at me for a long moment, and I swear he was about to say something. His mouth opened. His hands gripped the counter edge so hard his knuckles went white. Then Melody's laugh echoed from the patio, and he just shook his head. "Everything's fine," he said, but his voice sounded hollow. "Wedding planning stress, you know how it is." They'd gotten engaged in January, just 5 months after meeting. Fast, but people do that. When you know, you know. Except Derek didn't look like a man who knew. He looked like a man trapped in something he couldn't escape. I flew back to Oregon the next day, and that night I did something I'm not proud of. I logged into Mom's bank account. She'd given me access years ago for emergencies, back when Dad was still alive. I told myself I was just checking to make sure the bills were getting paid, that Melody was managing everything properly. The balance made me go cold. Mom's main checking account, the one her pension and Social Security went into, had $63. Her savings account that had held $412,000 the last time I'd checked in August had $312. $340,000 had vanished in 6 months. I called Melody at 7 in the morning Phoenix time. I didn't care that it was early. I didn't care that I probably woke her up. When she answered, groggy and confused, I didn't even say hello. "Where is Mom's money?" Silence. "Then, what are you talking about?" $340,000, Melody. Gone from her savings account. Where did it go? I heard rustling, like she was sitting up in bed. "Are you seriously going through Mom's finances without permission?" "That's private. She gave me access years ago." "I'm asking you where the money went." More silence. I could practically hear her brain working, figuring out what to say. When she finally spoke, her voice had changed. Softer. Wounded. "Do you have any idea how expensive Mom's care has been? The treatments insurance won't cover? The specialists? I had to take out a second mortgage on my place to help cover costs. I've been using Mom's savings to pay for things that actually keep her alive and comfortable." A second mortgage? Melody, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. What kind of treatments cost that much? "Experimental treatments," she said, and now she was crying. "Immunotherapy that insurance called experimental and refused to cover. Special medications from Canada that actually help with her pain. A medical bed, a wheelchair lift, round-the-clock monitoring equipment. You're not here. You don't see what it costs to keep someone comfortable when they're dying." I felt my anger waver. I wasn't there. I didn't know what was happening day to day. Maybe I was being unfair. "Can you send me receipts?" I asked, trying to sound calmer. "I just want to understand where it all went. If there are experimental treatments helping her, that's amazing. I just need to see the documentation." "Of course," Melody said quickly. "I'll put together everything and send it to you this week." I'm sorry I got defensive. I'm just so tired and stressed, and having you question me like I'm doing something wrong really hurt. I'm literally sacrificing my entire life for Mom. We ended the call, and I felt terrible. My sister was drowning trying to take care of our dying mother, and I was accusing her of what? Stealing? I was a horrible person. I texted her an apology and told her I loved her and appreciated everything she was doing. She never sent the receipts. 2 weeks went by. I'd ask casually in texts, and she'd say she was pulling everything together. It was a lot of paperwork. She'd get it to me soon. Then 3 weeks. A month. Every time I brought it up, she'd have an excuse or she'd turn it around on me. "Why do you need receipts if you trust me?" This feels like you're treating me like a criminal. I can't believe you'd question me when I'm giving up everything for our mother. So I stopped asking. But I didn't stop worrying. And I especially didn't stop noticing things. Like how during my March visit, Mom seemed more confused than usual. She kept asking what day it was, forgetting conversations we had 5 minutes earlier. The nurse who came twice a week to check vitals pulled me aside. Has your mother's medication schedule changed recently? She asked quietly. Not that I know of. Why? She hesitated, clearly not wanting to overstep. Her confusion levels seem inconsistent. Some days she's sharp as a tack. Other days, she doesn't know what year it is. I've seen this before when medications aren't being administered consistently. My blood went cold. Are you saying someone's messing with her meds? I'm saying inconsistency can be confusing for patients, and sometimes family members forget doses or double up by accident. It might be worth keeping a more careful log. But Melody was keeping a log. She'd shown it to me, color-coded and detailed. Every medication, every dose, every time. She was meticulous about it. So, why was the nurse concerned? That night after everyone went to bed, I did something worse than checking bank accounts. I went into Melody's home office, the one room in Mom's house she kept locked. I told myself I'd just look for the receipts she kept promising to send me. I'd check her filing cabinet, find the medical bills, ease my mind. I picked the lock with a bobby pin. It took 15 minutes, but it opened. The filing cabinet was full of credit card statements, all in Mom's name. Cards I didn't even know existed. Balances totaling over $70,000. Charges for things like luxury spa treatments, designer clothes, expensive restaurants. Not a single medical expense in sight. There was a laptop on the desk, closed but not password protected. I opened it and felt my hands start shaking. Email after email between Melody and various companies. Property appraisers. Estate liquidation services. Funeral homes. All dated from 4 months ago, when Mom had supposedly just started treatment. When there was still hope. Melody had already been planning for her death and calculating what everything would be worth. I heard footsteps in the hallway outside. Derek's voice, quiet and tense, saying, "We need to talk about this." Melody's voice, sharp and annoyed. "Not now. She's visiting. We'll deal with it later." I barely made it back to my room before they passed by in the hallway, still arguing in harsh whispers. The text from Derek came 3 days after I got back to Oregon. "Can we meet?" Without Melody. "It's important." We agreed on a coffee shop near Mom's house. I flew back down the next weekend, told Melody I was coming to help with wedding stuff. She seemed happy about it, excited to show me bridesmaid dress options and talk about centerpieces. I smiled and nodded and felt sick the entire time. Derek looked terrible when I met him. He'd lost weight, had stubble on his usually clean-shaven face, dark circles under his eyes that matched Melody's. He ordered coffee with shaking hands, and we sat in the back corner, where no one could hear us. "I don't know how to start this," he said. "Just start." He pulled out his phone and opened a folder filled with documents. "I've been tracking her. For 3 months. I know that sounds crazy, but I had to know if I was losing my mind or if she was really doing what I thought she was doing." "What is she doing, Derek?" He showed me his phone. Bank transfers. Screenshots of text conversations between Melody and her friend Jenna where they talked about Mom's money like it was already Melody's. Photos Derek had taken of Melody at a casino in Nevada when she told him she was staying home with Mom. Credit card receipts for jewelry, clothes, trips. "She has a gambling problem," Derek said quietly. "A bad one. She's been using her mom's money to cover her debts. I found credit cards, loans, payment plans for things I can't even identify. She's in deep with some really bad people." I couldn't breathe. "How much does she owe?" "Over $200,000 that I can confirm. Maybe more. And your mom's money is almost gone. Once it runs out." He trailed off, looking sick. "Once it runs out, what?" "I found forged power of attorney documents. Melody's been signing her mom's name on things. She's listed as sole beneficiary on new life insurance policies I know your mom never agreed to. She's changed the will. Everything goes to Melody now." The coffee shop spun around me. The will? Mom updated her will. Not Mom. Melody. She's been doing it all herself. Your mom's too out of it most days to even understand what she's signing. And I think Melody's keeping her that way on purpose. The medication inconsistencies. The confusion. Oh God. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Why didn't you just leave? Call the police? Derek's eyes filled with tears. Because I loved her. The woman I met 6 months ago, I loved her. I thought she was the most caring, selfless person I'd ever known. Watching her take care of her dying mother, it made me want to marry her and have a family with her. But that person doesn't exist. She's a lie. The real Melody is someone I don't even recognize. He took a shaky breath. And I can't marry her. I can't look at her and pretend I don't know. But I also can't face her. I'm too much of a coward. So I need you to do it. I need you to stop this wedding and stop her before your mom dies and Melody gets away with everything. Do you have evidence? Real evidence. He handed me a flash drive. Everything's on here. Bank records I copied. Emails I forwarded to myself from her laptop. Text screenshots. Phone recordings I made secretly. It's probably not all legal, but it's all true. I also made copies and gave them to my lawyer just in case anything happens to me. I stared at the flash drive like it was a bomb. Why would anything happen to you? Because she knows I know. She hasn't said it directly, but she knows I've been pulling away. Last night, she asked me if I was having second thoughts about the wedding and the way she looked at me. He shivered. Your sister is capable of things you don't want to believe. Once she realizes I'm a threat to her plans, I don't know what she'll do. We sat there in silence for a long time. Finally, I took the flash drive and put it in my pocket. I'll handle it, I said. I'll figure something out. The wedding's in 2 weeks, Derek said. I can't wait that long. I'm going to leave her before then. I'll make up an excuse, say I'm not ready, whatever. I just wanted you to have the evidence first, in case she tries to spin this as me being the bad guy. He stood up to leave, then stopped and looked back at me. I'm sorry. I know she's your sister. I know this destroys your family, but your mom deserves better than this. And honestly, so does Melody. She needs help, not a husband who'll enable her. After he left, I sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours staring at the flash drive. When I finally went back to Mom's house, Melody was in the kitchen making dinner. She smiled when she saw me. There you are. I was getting worried. Where'd you disappear to? Just driving around. I lied. Needed to clear my head. She hugged me tight. I'm so glad you're here. Having you around makes everything feel more bearable, you know? You're the only family I can really count on. I hugged her back and tried not to throw up. That night, I called the rehab facility Mom had been to once for a broken hip. Asked about their long-term care options, their security, their visiting policies. I called a lawyer I knew from college and asked hypothetically about elder fraud and what kind of evidence would be needed to prosecute. Then I transferred every penny I had in savings, $47,000, into a new account Mom couldn't access. Money Melody couldn't touch. It wasn't much. It wasn't anywhere close to what Melody had stolen. But it might be enough to keep Mom comfortable and safe if everything fell apart. When everything fell apart. Because 2 days later, Derek didn't show up to the wedding rehearsal, and Melody had a complete meltdown that ended with her cornered in a coat room, demanding I find him and bring him back. And Derek appearing just long enough to shove a folder into my hands and whisper the words that changed everything. She can never know I gave you this. The rehearsal dinner was at some fancy Italian restaurant Melody had chosen, all exposed brick and string lights and waiters in black ties. 200 people would be at tomorrow's wedding, but tonight was just family and the wedding party. Maybe 40 people total, all dressed up and drinking wine and acting like everything was perfect. Melody looked stunning. She wore this cream-colored dress that probably cost more than my rent, her hair swept up in some complicated style with little flowers woven through it. She worked the room like a politician, hugging people, laughing at jokes, playing the glowing bride so convincingly I almost forgot what I knew about her. Almost. Mom sat at the head table in her wheelchair, wrapped in a shawl despite the warm May evening. She looked tiny and faded, like a photograph left in the sun too long. Melody kept parading people over to her, making Mom smile for pictures, telling everyone how blessed she was that Mom would be there tomorrow to see her get married. "She's fought so hard to make it to this day," Melody announced during her toast, voice breaking perfectly on cue. "My mom is the strongest woman I know. She taught me everything about love and sacrifice and what it means to put family first. I wouldn't be here without her." People dabbed their eyes. Someone said, "Hear, hear," and everyone clinked glasses. I drank my wine and tried not to scream. Derek sat 3 seats away from Melody, barely touching his food. His face was gray, his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. Every time Melody touched his arm or tried to kiss his cheek, he'd flinch slightly. Nobody else seemed to notice, but I couldn't look away from it. He was falling apart in real time. Around 8:30, Melody's maid of honor started a slideshow. Pictures of Melody and Derek's relationship, set to some Taylor Swift song. Melody laughing on a beach, Derek looking at her like she hung the moon. Melody feeding Mom ice cream, saint-like and tender. The two of them at the Grand Canyon, at Christmas, at a Diamondbacks game. 6 months of lies projected on a wall in high definition. I excused myself to the bathroom and stood in the stall trying to remember how to breathe. When I came out, Derek was standing by the sinks looking like he might pass out. "I can't do this," he whispered. "I can't sit there and smile for one more second. So don't. Leave. Go home. She'll follow me. She'll demand explanations I can't give without destroying everything right here in public." His hands gripped the marble counter. "I need you to promise me something. Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever I do or don't do, you'll make sure your mom is safe. Promise me." Before I could answer, Melody's voice echoed from the hallway. "Derek? Baby, where are you? They're about to cut the cake." Derek's eyes met mine in the mirror. Pure panic. Then he straightened his shoulders, put on a smile that didn't reach his eyes, and walked out to face her. I stayed in the bathroom another 5 minutes, trying to get my heart rate under control. When I finally went back to the party, Melody was feeding Derek cake while everyone took pictures. His smile looked like a corpse's. The party wound down around 10. People started leaving, hugging Melody, telling Derek how lucky he was, reminding everyone that tomorrow was the big day. I helped get Mom into the accessible van that would take her back to the house. She looked at me with sudden clarity, her eyes focused in a way they hadn't been in weeks. "Something's wrong," she whispered. "I can feel it." "Nothing's wrong, Mom. Just wetting nerves." She shook her head slowly. "Your sister. She's not who she used to be. Sometimes I look at her and don't recognize her at all." Before I could respond, Melody appeared at Mom's other side. "Ready to go home, Mama? Big day tomorrow. You need your rest." The clarity vanished from Mom's eyes like someone flipped a switch. "Tomorrow? What's tomorrow?" "My wedding, Mom. Remember? You're going to watch me get married." "Oh." Mom smiled vaguely. "That's nice, honey." I watched Melody help Mom into the van, watched her play the devoted daughter one more time, and felt rage burn through me like acid. I started walking toward my car when someone grabbed my arm. Derek pulled me toward the coat room, a small storage space near the kitchen where they kept extra chairs and table linens. He looked wild, desperate, his careful composure completely shattered. "I can't marry her. I'm leaving. Tonight. I'm going to pack my stuff and disappear, and she can tell everyone whatever she wants about me being a coward or getting cold feet. I don't care anymore." "Derek, wait. No. I've waited too long already. Every day I pretend to love her is another day I'm complicit in what she's doing to your mom." He pulled a folder from inside his jacket, the edges bent and worn like he'd been carrying it around for days. "This is everything. Every piece of evidence I collected. Bank records, forged documents, recordings, all of it. More than what's on the flash drive. The originals." He shoved it into my chest hard enough to hurt. "Take this and read it before tomorrow. But she can never know I gave you this. If she finds out I'm the one who exposed her, I don't know what she'll do. Tell her you found it yourself. Tell her you hired a private investigator. I don't care. Just keep me out of it. Where will you go? Somewhere she can't find me. I left a letter with my lawyer explaining everything. If anything happens to me, it goes to the police automatically. That's the only insurance I have that she won't try to shut me up permanently. I stared at him. You really think she'd hurt you? I think she's capable of anything when it comes to money. And I'm a threat to her getting what she wants. He backed toward the door. Stop the wedding. Save your mom. And get your sister help before she destroys herself completely. Then he was gone, slipping out the back exit while inside the restaurant people toasted to love and happy endings and marriages that last forever. I stood alone in that coat room holding the folder with shaking hands. Through the wall, I could hear Melody's laugh, high and bright and utterly convincing. I drove back to my hotel in a daze, the folder sitting on the passenger seat like a live grenade. My phone buzzed around midnight. A text from Melody. Can't sleep. Too excited. Thank you for being here and for being the best sister ever. I love you so much. Tomorrow is going to be perfect. I turned off my phone and opened the folder. The papers spilled across the hotel bed like evidence at a murder trial. I started organizing them with numb fingers, trying to make sense of the scope of what Melody had done. Trying to understand how this had happened without me noticing until it was almost too late. Bank statements first. Mom's main savings account, the one with $412,000 last August, now showed a balance of $312. But it wasn't one big withdrawal. It was dozens of transfers. $5,000 here, $10,000 there, $20,000 to pay off a credit card, $30,000 marked as medical expenses that I now knew were lies. The dates told a story. The transfers had started small in October, right after Mom's diagnosis. Just $2,000 or $3,000 at a time, easy to miss or explain away. Then they got bigger, more frequent. By February, Melody was moving $15,000 and $20,000 at a time. By April, she'd emptied entire accounts in single transactions. $340,000 in 7 months. I found the credit card statements next. The cards in Mom's name that I'd never known existed. A Visa with a $72,000 balance. An American Express with $48,000. A Discover card maxed out at $35,000. The charges made me sick. Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Designer handbags from Nordstrom. A BMW lease payment. Spa treatments, expensive dinners, jewelry stores. Not a single medical expense anywhere. There were text message screenshots between Melody and someone named Jenna. I started reading and wished I hadn't. Melody, she asked about her pearl necklace today. Had to tell her she donated it. She's so out of it she believed me. Jenna, how much did you get for it? Melody, $8,000 at the pawn shop. Less than it's worth, but I needed cash fast. The guys I owe money to aren't patient. Jenna, maybe you should actually quit gambling instead of stealing from your dying mom? Melody, I'm not stealing. It's going to be mine anyway when she dies. I'm just accessing it early. And I'm going to pay it all back once I win big. Jenna, you've been saying that for 2 years. Melody, this time is different. I have a system now. The messages went on. Hundreds of them. Melody complaining about how long Mom was taking to die. Melody calculating what the house would sell for. Melody joking about increasing Mom's pain medication to keep her confused and compliant. If you're still watching this story, I need you to understand how hard this was to read. This was my sister. The girl who braided my hair before school. Who taught me to ride a bike. Who stayed up with me when our dad died and promised we'd always have each other. I didn't know this person in these text messages. The forged documents were next. Power of attorney papers with Mom's signature that looked nothing like her actual handwriting. A newel dated 3 months ago, leaving everything to Melody, signed when Mom was so heavily medicated she probably didn't know her own name. Life insurance policies I'd never heard of, listing Melody as sole beneficiary. Derek had even included photos he'd taken of Melody's locked office drawer. More pawn shop receipts for Mom's jewelry. A ledger where Melody tracked how much she owed various casinos and loan sharks. The number at the bottom made my vision blur. $237,000 in gambling debts. She'd stolen $340,000 from Mom and still owed over $200,000. Where had the rest gone? More gambling, probably. Trying to win enough to pay off the debts, only to lose more, stuck in a cycle that was eating her alive. The worst part, the absolute worst part, was the recording. Derek had secretly taped a phone conversation between Melody and Jenna from 3 weeks ago. I plugged in my headphones and pressed play. Melody's voice, casual and light. Honestly, at this point, I'm just waiting. The hospice nurse said maybe another month or two. Once she's gone, I can sell the house, cash out the remaining accounts, and everything will be fine. What about Derek? Jenna asked. He still doesn't know? He suspects something, but he's too polite to directly accuse me. And even if he did, what's he going to do? Leave me 3 weeks before the wedding? He's too concerned about appearances for that. Melody laughed. Besides, once we're married, it becomes community property anyway. He'll be stuck with me. You're going to tell him after the wedding? Eventually. Or not. I haven't decided yet. Honestly, Jenna, I know this sounds terrible, but sometimes I think about how much easier life would be if Mom would just let go. She's suffering. I'm suffering. We're all suffering. Her dying would be a mercy at this point. Did you just say what I think you said? I'm not saying I'd do anything. I'm just saying nature should take its course. And if her medications got a little mixed up and she took too much pain medication one night, well, accidents happen with confused elderly patients. There was a long pause on the recording. Melody, that's not okay to even joke about. Who's joking? I'm drowning here. The people I owe money to aren't sending polite reminders anymore. They're sending threats. I need that inheritance, and I need it soon. The recording ended. I threw my phone across the room and barely made it to the bathroom before I threw up again. My sister wasn't just a thief. She was actively considering murder. Maybe not explicitly planning it, but thinking about it, rationalizing it, treating our mother's death like a business transaction that was taking too long to complete. I sat on the cold bathroom floor with my back against the tub and cried until I couldn't cry anymore. The clock on my phone said 2:47 a.m. In 10 hours, I was supposed to walk Melody down the aisle, stand beside her as maid of honor, watch her marry a man who'd fled rather than face what she'd become. My phone buzzed. A text from Melody. Can't wait to see you walk me down the aisle tomorrow since Dad's gone. You're the only family I trust. I love you so much. I ran back to the bathroom and dry heaved until my ribs hurt. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I sat in that hotel room surrounded by evidence of my sister's crimes and tried to figure out what to do. Call the police seemed like the obvious answer, but Derek had stolen most of this evidence illegally. Would it even hold up? Would Melody just claim I was jealous or vindictive or making things up? And what about Mom? She was so fragile now, barely holding on. Finding out her daughter had been stealing from her, planning her death, forging her signature on documents. Would it kill her? Would the shock be too much for her failing heart? Around 5 a.m, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Is this Melody's sister? A man's voice, rough and unfriendly. Who is this? Someone your sister owes money to. A lot of money. We've been patient, but our patience has limits. She keeps saying she'll have it after her mother dies. We're calling to make sure she understands we're serious about that timeline. My blood went cold. Are you threatening my mother? We're clarifying expectations. Melody has until the end of June to deliver $237,000. How she gets it isn't our concern. But she will get it, or there will be consequences for her and everyone close to her. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone, shaking so hard my teeth chattered. Melody's gambling debts had reached the level where dangerous people were involved. People who made threats. People who knew about Mom, knew about the inheritance, knew our family situation. This was so much worse than I'd thought. I called Derek's number. It went straight to voicemail. He'd probably thrown away his phone, was probably already on a bus or plane to somewhere Melody couldn't find him. Smart move. I was on my own. Around 7, I showered and put on the bridesmaid dress Melody had chosen. Pale pink, tasteful, expensive. I did my makeup carefully, hiding the dark circles and red eyes. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back. My phone exploded with texts. The wedding coordinator asking about timeline. Melody's maid of honor confirming hair and makeup appointments. Melody herself sending a stream of excited messages about how perfect everything would be. Not one message from Derek. Around 9, Melody called. Have you seen Derek? He's not answering his phone, and he was supposed to be here an hour ago for pictures.
No.
Maybe he's running late. He's never late. Something's wrong. Her voice had an edge to it now, the bride persona cracking. Can you go to his apartment and check on him? Melody, I'm sure he's fine. Probably just overslept. Please. I'm freaking out here. Just go make sure he's okay, and tell him to get his butt to the venue. I drove to Derek's apartment knowing what I'd find. Or rather, what I wouldn't find. The door was unlocked. Inside, the place was mostly empty. Furniture still there, but personal items gone. Bathroom cleared out. Closet half empty. On the kitchen counter, a handwritten note addressed to Melody. I'm sorry. I can't do this. You deserve someone better than me. Please don't try to find me.
Short. Vague.
Cowardly in the way he'd warned me he'd be. I took a picture of the note and drove back to the venue. The grand ballroom at the Phoenician resort was decorated like a fairy tale. White roses everywhere, candles, sheer drapes creating this dreamy atmosphere. 200 chairs set up facing an altar covered in flowers. A string quartet warming up in the corner. Staff rushing around making final adjustments. Melody stood in the bridal suite, surrounded by her bridesmaids, still in her robe, her face pale and panicked. Did you find him? I showed her the note. She read it 3 times, her expression shifting from disbelief to rage to something that looked almost like relief before settling on devastation. He left me. Her voice was flat. 3 hours before my wedding, he left me. The bridesmaids erupted in outrage. How dare he? What a coward. She deserves better. I watched Melody accept their comfort, saw her playing the abandoned bride perfectly even as her mind clearly raced with other concerns. She was worried about more than a broken heart. She was worried about how this looked, what Derek might do, whether her carefully constructed house of cards was about to collapse. Maybe it's for the best, I said quietly. Maybe this is the universe telling you something. Melody's eyes snapped to mine, sharp and calculating. What does that mean? Just that maybe Derek knew something. Maybe he had a reason to leave. Like what? What reason could he possibly have? I took a breath. This was it. The moment everything changed. We need to talk. Privately. Melody told her bridesmaids to give us a minute. Once we were alone, she crossed her arms and stared at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Cold. Assessing. Dangerous. Whatever you're about to say, think very carefully first. I pulled out my phone and showed her a picture of one of the bank statements from Derek's folder. Where did Mom's money go? Melody didn't even flinch. Derek gave you that, didn't he? That's why he left. He's been spying on me, going through my things, and he poisoned you against me. Is it true? Did you steal $340,000 from Mom? I didn't steal anything. I have power of attorney. I'm managing her finances. Some of that money went to medical expenses. Some went to keeping both of us afloat financially. I'm broke because I've been taking care of her. You have $237,000 in gambling debts. She froze. For just a second, the mask slipped completely, and I saw real fear in her eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by anger. How dare you? How dare you come into my bridal suite on my wedding day and accuse me of this? I have recordings, text messages, forged documents. Derek documented everything before he left. Melody started pacing, her mind clearly working through options. Okay, yes, I have some gambling debts. I made mistakes, but I was going to pay it all back. I am paying it back. The money from Mom's accounts is temporary. I'm managing her estate, and when she passes, everything comes to me anyway, so what's the difference if I access it a little early? The difference is she's still alive and you're treating her like she's already dead. She's dying. Melody screamed it, her composure finally shattering. She has weeks left, maybe days. Her quality of life is non-existent. She doesn't even know who she is half the time. I'm drowning trying to take care of her while dealing with my own financial problems, and you swoop in once a month to judge me without any idea what I'm dealing with. Did you increase her medications to keep her confused? Silence. Long and terrible. Get out, Melody whispered. Did you?
Get out.
I grabbed my purse and walked toward the door. Stopped with my hand on the handle. I'm taking Mom home. And I'm calling a lawyer. Everything you've done, forging her signature, stealing her money, all of it, it's elder abuse. It's fraud. It's criminal. You can't prove any of that. Derek's evidence is inadmissible. He obtained it illegally. Maybe. But I can still tell Mom the truth. I can still protect what little money is left. And I can still make sure those people you owe money to understand that Mom's estate is off limits. Melody laughed, but it sounded broken. Those people don't care about limits. They want their money. And if they don't get it, they'll hurt me. Maybe they'll hurt you. Maybe they'll hurt Mom to send a message. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Then go to the police. Tell them about the threats. Ask for help. And admit to everything I've done? I'd go to prison. We stared at each other across that beautiful bridal suite, and I saw the moment she realized she'd lost. Not just the wedding, not just Derek, but everything. Her whole carefully constructed plan had collapsed. I walked out and found Mom in the accessible seating area, confused about why she was wearing a fancy dress. I told the attendant we were leaving. Told the wedding coordinator to cancel everything. Told Melody's bridesmaids they should probably go home. Then I wheeled Mom out to the parking lot while behind us I could hear Melody sobbing in the bridal suite, the sound carrying through the open windows like a ghost crying. I took Mom to the emergency room instead of home. The nurse who'd been concerned about medication inconsistencies met us there, her face grave. We ran blood tests, checked med levels, documented everything. The results showed erratic dosing, sometimes double what was prescribed, sometimes nothing for days. Melody had been playing with Mom's medications to keep her confused and compliant. The hospital called Adult Protective Services. I called the lawyer I'd consulted earlier and forwarded all of Derek's evidence. By that evening, the police were involved. By the next morning, Melody was arrested at Mom's house, still in her wedding dress from the day before, surrounded by the ruins of what should have been her reception. The legal process moved faster than I expected. Melody's lawyer tried to argue that she'd had power of attorney, that it was a misunderstanding, that her gambling addiction was a disease, and she needed treatment, not punishment. But the forged documents were too obvious. The recordings too damning. The text messages about hoping Mom would die sooner were shown to the judge. Elder abuse. Financial exploitation. Forgery. Identity theft. The charges piled up. Derek gave his statement remotely from wherever he'd disappeared to. The judge allowed his evidence despite how it was obtained because the severity of the crimes outweighed the technicalities. Melody's public defender recommended she take a plea deal. 3 years in prison. 5 years probation. Mandatory treatment for gambling addiction. Full restitution of whatever money could be recovered, though most of it was gone, gambled away or paid to loan sharks who'd never give it back. I sat in the courtroom when Melody entered her guilty plea. She looked small in her orange jumpsuit, nothing like the glowing bride from 2 weeks earlier. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, she looked directly at me. I'm sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. It started small and then I couldn't stop and I convinced myself Mom wouldn't care because she wouldn't be here to care and I needed the money so badly I couldn't think straight. I'm sick. I need help. But I know that doesn't excuse what I did. She was crying. Real tears this time, not the manipulative ones she'd used so effectively for months. Mom, I'm so sorry. I love you. I never wanted to hurt you. Mom sat in her wheelchair next to me, having a rare moment of clarity. She looked at Melody for a long time, and when she spoke, her voice was steady and sad. I know you're sick, honey, but you hurt me. You stole from me. You treated me like I was already dead. And that's something I don't know if I can forgive. The judge sent Melody away. I watched her being led out in handcuffs, my sister, my only sibling, and felt this complicated grief that had no easy resolution. The loan sharks never got their money. The police investigated them based on the threatening phone call, but couldn't make anything stick. They disappeared back into whatever shadows they'd come from, their threats empty now that Melody had nothing left to give. I moved Mom into an excellent care facility, the kind with around-the-clock nurses and activities and dignity. The recovered money, about $90,000 that hadn't been gambled away yet, went into a trust one managed. Combined with what I'd protected in the separate account, it was enough to give Mom comfortable care for whatever time she had left. Derek called me once, about a month after everything settled. He was in Montana, working at a national park, trying to forget. "How is she?" he asked. Meaning Melody. "Adjusting to prison, I guess. She writes letters, but I don't always read them." "And your mom?" "Stable. Happy, even sometimes. She has good days and bad days. On good days, she asks about Melody. On bad days, she forgets she had 2 daughters at all." "I'm sorry I ran. I should have stayed and faced her. You gave me what I needed to stop her." That took courage even if it didn't feel like it. We talked for a few more minutes, then said goodbye. I don't know if I'll ever hear from him again. Part of me hopes he finds happiness with someone else, someone who actually is the person Melody pretended to be. Mom lasted another 7 months. She passed peacefully in her sleep on a Tuesday morning in December, surrounded by nurses who actually cared about her, in a room filled with photos and flowers and dignity. I was holding her hand. Melody was allowed to attend the funeral in handcuffs and a corrections officer escort. She sat in the back and cried the whole service. Afterward, she asked if she could talk to me. "I'm getting help," she said quietly. "Real help. Therapy, gambling, addiction support, all of it. I think about what I did every single day, and I hate myself for it." "Good. You should. Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" I looked at my sister, really looked at her. I saw the person she'd been and the person she'd become and the person she might someday be if she did the hard work of changing. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Ask me again in 3 years." She nodded like that was fair. Like that was more than she deserved. It's been 18 months since Mom died. 14 months since Melody went to prison. I visit her sometimes, not often, but sometimes. She's different in there. Quieter. More honest. Her letters are full of apologies and insights from therapy and small hopes for the future. I don't know if people really change. I don't know if Melody will come out of prison cured of whatever darkness let her do what she did. But I know she's trying. And I know that's more than she was doing before. The money that was left, about $60,000 after Mom's care was paid for, I donated to an organization that helps elderly people protect themselves from financial abuse. Mom would have liked that. She always wanted to help people, right up until she couldn't help herself anymore. Derek sends me postcards sometimes from wherever he is. Last one was from Oregon, ironically close to where I live. Just a note saying, "Hope you're healing," and a picture of a mountain. I keep them in a drawer, and sometimes I take them out and remember that there are still good people in the world who try to do the right thing even when it's hard. The lesson I learned from all of this isn't simple or clean. It's not "trust your instincts" or "family comes first" or any easy phrase you can put on a motivational poster. It's more complicated than that. It's that the people closest to us are capable of the worst betrayals because they know our vulnerabilities and our blind spots. It's that love can make you overlook red flags you'd notice in anyone else. It's that addiction doesn't excuse abuse, but it does explain it, and both things can be true at the same time. It's that sometimes protecting someone you love means protecting them from someone else you love. That choosing what's right over what's comfortable will cost you, but the alternative costs more. That truth, no matter how painful, is the only foundation solid enough to build healing on. I think about that folder Derek gave me sometimes. How heavy it felt in my hands. How opening it destroyed our family, but also saved what was left of it. How knowing the truth, as terrible as it was, gave me the power to act instead of just wondering and worrying and slowly watching everything fall apart. Mom used to say that family sticks together no matter what. But she also used to say that real love protects, not enables. That being loyal to someone doesn't mean letting them hurt themselves or others without consequences. I think she'd understand why I did what I did. I think she'd forgive me for being the one who had to expose her daughter and send her to prison. Because the alternative was letting Melody destroy herself completely while taking Mom down with her. Sometimes the hardest love is saying no, is setting boundaries, is choosing truth over comfort and consequences over enabling, is accepting that you can't save someone who won't save themselves, but you can protect the people they're hurting. I still don't know if I'll forgive Melody completely. Maybe in 3 years when she gets out and I can see if she's really changed. Maybe never. Maybe someday when I'm old and dying myself and I understand that forgiveness is more about my peace than hers. But I know I did the right thing. And I know Mom would be proud of me for choosing to protect her even when it meant losing my sister. And I know that every person watching this who has a vulnerable parent or grandparent should pay attention to the warning signs I missed until it was almost too late.
Check the bank accounts.
Ask questions. Don't accept easy explanations for missing money or change behavior or suspicious documents. Trust your gut when something feels wrong. And know that real love sometimes looks like hard choices and painful truths and consequences that hurt everyone involved but save the people who need saving. That folder changed everything. But it also saved what mattered most. And that's the story of how my sister's fiancé handed me a folder at the rehearsal dinner, how opening it destroyed our family, and how sometimes destruction is the only path to protection. Thank you for watching this story all the way to the end. I know it was heavy and hard, and probably brought up feelings about your own family relationships. If this story resonated with you, or if you've experienced anything similar, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your stories matter. Your experiences might help someone else recognize the warning signs I missed. I read every comment, and I'm grateful you trusted me with your time and attention. Please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss future stories. Every week, we bring you real-life experiences that teach us about love, betrayal, family, and the complicated choices we face when the people we love hurt us or others. Hit that like button if this story impacted you, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Together we can learn from each other's pain, and maybe prevent someone else from going through what my family went through. Thank you for being part of this community. Until next time, protect yourself, protect the vulnerable, and never be afraid to choose truth over comfort.